All right.
Welcome to episode 9 of Beer with Strangers. My name is Tony Russo, and I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Shawn Hager.
How's it going?
Shawn's pinch hitting for Doug, as he tends to do, from Xtreme Brewing, where we're broadcasting live from Xtreme Brewing. This is our second broadcast. We've been doing the podcast for coming up on 6 months, I think. Episode 30, so about 29, so about 30 weeks. We've been doing it. We're getting better and better, so that's why we decided we would try to do this Hangouts on air. If you're tuning in, I can see no one's tuned in yet, but if you're tuning in later, we're going to try to do this every Thursday at 5 p.m. You can subscribe to the State of the Beer Google page and get an invite if you'd like to come on. If you would like to ask questions, you can ask questions live on the air. You can participate in the discussion live on the air because it's a Hangout live. Or you can email questions. You can email questions, again, through the State of the Beer website. Today's show, we're going to be talking about pumpkin beer, even though neither one of us like pumpkin beer. The hope was actually that Doug was going to be here, because Doug likes all the beers enough that he can talk positively and negatively about them. But we're going to do our best with pumpkin beer. We're also going to talk about the prices of beer, a little bit of Eastern Shore beer history, and talk about some of the stuff coming up here at Xtreme Brewing. If anybody tunes in with questions, then we will answer them as we go as well. So first, to get things started, how do you feel about pumpkin beer?
Well, I used to like them, and I think, like a lot of people, I'm tired of the pumpkin everythings. That being said, there's a few out there I can drink. I don't mark my calendar for it, which that's getting June.
And this is the thing. People complain about the Christmas creep, but I'm here to complain about the pumpkin creep.
Oh yeah, I think somebody told me Southern Tier's Pumpkin was on shelves July 1st.
And
that's in July. I'm thinking, especially with my skin, I'm thinking of sunblock, and getting out of the shade, not pumpkins and Halloween. The cool weather would be nice.
And now, so if they're doing pumpkin ales and they are almost certainly using extract, or is this a year-old beer, or what do you think is going on with that?
That's hard to tell. And to be honest, using pumpkin in beer, like the actual pumpkin meat, doesn't give you, in my opinion, in this reporter's opinion, a lot. I think it's more of a, hey, look, I put pumpkin in my beer.
Right.
I think you get a lot more from the spices than anything. And I actually prefer to use sweet potatoes myself if I'm going to make a beer like that. But I would go on a limb to say most places are using an extract or canned pumpkin, which, most of your homebrew kits are canned pumpkin because it can last and you can do it whenever you please.
Right. And the thing about, so you said you use sweet potatoes. What is that? Is that a texture thing? What would you use sweet potatoes for? Is that?
I like the taste of sweet potatoes more than I do squash.
Right.
I mean, because pumpkin is a squash.
Right.
So the flavor you get from pumpkin is squash.
Just the squash flavor.
Yeah, I prefer a, yam, sweet potato kind of flavor.
Now, are there any fermentables at all in the pumpkin skin? Is that
the meat? There is sugars, yes. And it is, you put the pumpkin meat in with the mash to extract that and run it off, and not a lot.
Right.
I mean, it's not like
it's a negligible.
Yeah, I mean, it could kick your gravity up a few points, but nothing, nothing remarkably.
And so, do people just then use like whatever nutmeg and allspice, and is that really what you're doing?
I mean, I've seen cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, clove, allspice. Those are all acceptable in different quantities. Me, I absolutely can't stand allspice. It's a little
you definitely
bit,
don't like pumpkin beer.
Well, a little bit goes really far. So if a pumpkin beer has the cinnamon, the nutmeg, and maybe ginger and a little bit of clove, I'm great. But a little bit of allspice
is already too much.
Yeah, and sometimes they get a little overactive with it. So, but if it's on the minimal side of things, I can drink it.
I think if I could invent a pumpkin beer, my pumpkin beer would taste a lot like the Third Wave crab flavored beer that we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Third Wave here does an amber beer with Old Bay in it. Flying Dog does one now. I think it's become a thing.
I just tried that. I went in skeptical. I've heard.
You just tried the Third Wave one or the?
No, I've had Third Wave both years they made it, but the
Flying Dog
one.
And I haven't had it.
Everyone was, 50% of the people I talked to said it was in your face, crabby, and then other people said it wasn't very much. It wasn't bad. I not just supporting local, but they're both local, but I like Third Waves much better.
The Third Wave, I was really, really, really skeptical when I tried it, but it's so subtle. There's enough Old Bay flavor, and for those of you who don't know, Old Bay is seasoned salt. It's a special kind of seasoned salt that we use here in Maryland. So much more than seasoned salt. Oh, I'm just for our friends in Nebraska. It's like seasoned salt, just like Domino's is like pizza.
Yeah.
So it's typically used on crabs, and this has, I think, enough. What I would say is it's, as you said, it's not an in-your-face taste, but if you had it, you couldn't have it with crabs. That would be too much.
Which one?
The Third Wave. Could you chase crabs with that?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
But like
your whole head would taste like Old Bay.
Like I said, I mean, I love Old Bay.
That's crazy.
When they came out with the Old Bay cheese curls, I was giddy like a small schoolgirl. But I can see, it could definitely get to be just like you're not going to eat pumpkin pie with a pumpkin beer.
And that's exactly what I was going to get at. So my perfect pumpkin ale would be something where you're like, oh yeah, it does have kind of a pumpkin flavor to it, But again, a lot of these are very, very rich, and I think that's kind of what holds them back.
Yeah.
Or makes them so outrageously popular.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, I'm not to segue off of it, but the fall, to me, I think of Oktoberfest beers. That's like all the Marzens that are getting ready to hit the shelves, and I want all of them. It's my favorite style of beer. It's what I wait all year long for. But I see that the pumpkin thing, it definitely has a massive, massive, massive following. I mean, there's pumpkin ales, pumpkin porters, pumpkin stouts, imperial pumpkin everythings. I mean, but look at everything else. There's pumpkin spice lattes and pumpkin pie this and.
Oh, there's nothing I hate worse. I got a pumpkin spice latte literally by accident. Someone delivered me the wrong coffee. And I was actually at a business meeting, and my boss had ordered for us, and they had given him 2, because he likes them because he has no taste buds or whatever. But they had given him 2, and he set it down in front of me, and I wasn't going to say anything because it was a meeting, and I didn't want to be that guy. And I took like one sip of it, and he looks at me, and he's like, did they give you a pumpkin coffee? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, because he knows that I'm like, I like black coffee flavored.
You like coffee flavored coffee?
Yeah.
That's kind of like how I like beer flavored beer.
Absolutely.
But it's funny you said that. A friend of mine works at Starbucks, and they're starting to get their pumpkin spice in. So she made one for herself today. She's like, I'm so excited. I'm like,
yeah, no, I'm not.
Don't be that guy. Right. But hey. To each their own. I mean, I was just very skeptical going into trying wasabi from Dogfish Head, which is, for those who didn't get to try it, is wasabi and horseradish in a pale ale. It was different.
Yeah.
But I went in open-minded. Not something I could drink all the time, but I would,
I actually, is it already gone? I didn't get to try it.
I have no idea. A friend of mine picked it up for me, and I was like, oh. Okay.
Well, I grow horseradish. Have you had horseradish beers before?
No. I don't think I would run out to try another one.
Well, because they're like they're rhizomes, aren't they? I believe horseradish is a rhizome.
I have no idea.
Like hops is.
Hops is.
As hops is.
Oh, okay.
Hops is a rhizome, as is the type of plant.
Yeah,
it's like a tuber,
a twig.
Yeah.
That you put in there. Yeah.
Right. But anyway, I would try horseradish beer. I would try horseradish. Beer could be like potato chips now. You could get horseradish cheddar beer.
One of my good friends is from the UK, and he tells me about all these crisps they have overseas, and Yeah, I'd like beer to be like that. I want beer all the things.
Yeah, because they have all sorts of like different fish flavored.
Oh, he got tingly prawn crisps.
Yeah, which is prawn is shrimp.
Yes. Yeah, and it wasn't as tingly, but it was definitely shrimp.
Well, for what it's worth, for I'm sure you have one in your place, but just so you know, there's an Asian store here where you can buy shrimp flavored chips. They're shrimp French fries actually, and yeah, I don't even go in the store anymore because I can't eat an entire bag of shrimp chips at a time. I can't afford to. It's not that I'm not capable. I
was getting mushi. That stuff's so good for the Japanese market.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
So moving right along.
Yes.
Sorry. So
pumpkin and shrimp. It's next.
You guys have you for instance, what I wanted to get at was you guys carry pumpkin ales around here, as you were saying, year round in the extract.
Actually, this was the first year we didn't. We clearanced them at the end of the summer, and
so they didn't move.
When we clearanced them, they were gone in about 2 weeks.
Right, but they didn't move.
It's not the season for them. And then I had made up my mind that I was not going to do kits again until at least middle of September. And just last week, I made 15 pumpkin ale kits and 15 pumpkin porter kits to restock our shelves completely. So yes, they are available once again for people to make. And
now, do you provide the canned pumpkin in there, or
yes.
Is that something you just recommend people use?
No, we do put the canned pumpkin in there, but in the instructions we give you the how to if you want to use your own pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
You cut up into little cubes and all that.
Right.
And you can even take that one step farther. I mean, Evo, they roast their pumpkins.
Right. Yes.
And theirs is pretty good.
The Jacques o' Lantern is that then, right? Yeah.
Yep. And people are really trying to mix it up with the pumpkin ales. I mean, you have roasted pumpkin. Third Wave does. They use a Belgian. It's like a Belgian style.
Oh, really?
They make theirs, which
that's that's lighter then, right? And it's a little bit sweeter.
A little bit sweeter, but it also has some of the peppery and Belgian characteristics that you get, and which is strange because I'm going to get flamed for this. I'm not a huge Belgian fan, but Belgian beer with pumpkin works very well for them, and I actually do like their pumpkin beer more than I thought I would.
Belgians have, I think, taken the IPA route to popularity, where 5 years ago it was like, oh, you have to like IPAs, you have to try all the IPAs. IPAs are the thing, and now it's Belgians are for the
farmhouse,
right.
Belgian quads, doubles, singles.
Right, and it's cyclical. I think that Ed probably would agree with me that maybe English ales will be next. Like,
oh, it wouldn't surprise me.
Miles will make a big turn.
Oh yeah, I mean, you see a kickback. Your gravity of the beer goes down significantly, and people want to start drinking more craft beer instead of having one.
Right. Yeah, that's what. I mean, that's how I've become. I've lost a little bit of weight recently, and I've been bragging about it. But I want to tell this funny story. I actually got drunk by accident the other day because now
that's my excuse.
My tolerance has dropped more than. So I mean, I didn't get a little tipsy. I try to stay a little tipsy all the time. But the other day I had a martini. I had 2 glasses of wine at dinner, and then I had something after dinner, and I was like stumbling. I wasn't just like, ooh, I probably shouldn't drive. I was like, oh, somebody put me in bed. So I'm looking forward to being able to drink more beer, and that's going to mean a lower alcohol content.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, yeah,
or locking myself in my house. The problem is there's nothing worse than having to decide whether you want. All right, so you come home, and let's say, God forbid, I know this would never happen to you because you make your own beer, but there's a 6-pack in the fridge, and the question is, do I want 7 beers tonight, right? The answer often is yes, but so many times in my life I'd be like, nah, I'm not even going to drink very much beer, and then I finish the 6th one, and I'm like, now I'm trapped here. Yes. They have no beer left.
Yeah, I actually don't drink very often during the week on work nights. Not that I, worried about getting drunk. It's just by the time I get home, I'm just like, the beer's all in the fridge, and I'm not. So, now last night I had 2 gin and tonics. They were really, really good. They washed down dinner very well. But for the most part, I save my beer drinking for the weekends.
For the weekends.
And then I make up for it.
Yeah.
Significantly.
You got to catch up.
I think they call it binge drinking.
There's a word for that.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about the prices of craft beer because you'd expect that they would have jumped more by now than they have as demand has gone up.
I hope it doesn't jump more. I mean, it hurts now. I go into Cheers or whatever, my local beer shop, and
right.
Like, yeah, I really want to try that. Okay, that's $14.99 for a 4-pack.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really want that anymore. So I start looking at the other mixed variety packs and all that, and most of the time I end up with both.
Right.
So I'm walking to my car like, yeah, now I'm broke.
Right, but on the upside for I'm going to call them. We used to call them craft beers. Maybe we'll call them everyday craft beers. Like you can still get a 12-pack of Sierra Nevada.
Oh yeah, for a reasonable amount.
It's proportionally cheap. I mean, like I can't even understand how people could grab. It's let's say $9 for a 6-pack or $12 for an 18-pack. It's about like $2 more than Budweiser instead of $6 more than.
Yeah,
Budweiser.
and obviously that's all dependent on what your go-to beer is. You look at some of these mixed packs and some of your more crafty craft beers.
Right.
You're definitely not going to get a case or a 12-pack of 90 Minute for a few bucks more than Budweiser.
Right. Yeah.
But, good pale ales and stuff, absolutely. I think where you really get hit hard price-wise would be your singles. Like your big.
The $15 bottles of beer.
Yeah. I think the worst one that's hit me is probably $22.
Yeah.
And it was delicious, but
at least it's worth it. What's tough is when it's not worth it. When you're like,
I've been on the wrong side of that more than my fair share, I think. But it's a risk that's, I think, worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling people I had a 6-year-old bottle of Worldwide, or not Worldwide, I'm sorry, 120 Minute IPA. And I was so hyped up, and I was like, yeah. No, it wasn't very good. It tasted like a really strong barley wine. And
yeah. It does.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't pay a lot of
on
money in that. And, I see them going for $20, $25. I've been really upset spending $25 on a 12-ounce beer.
Yeah.
Now, I did spend $18 on a 6-pack of an IPA that was, you could have one a night, and that would be all, that'd be plenty. It's more than enough to destroy all your taste buds.
You're not drink it last.
Yeah, because you're going to be tasting that the next morning. You're going to wake up and coughing up hop leaves.
We were talking, just real quick, I added it to the list, even though it wasn't, about the mixed packages, because I've got to tell you, I don't think I've ever bought a mixed package. I may have had, I think I bought one mixed package, and my experience was that I wanted 4 of the one I got 2 of, and I wanted none of the one I got 2 of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a good way, like if there are a couple people maybe, but
yeah, I really like mixed packs personally.
Mm.
My only gripe with them is, we'll take Sam Adams for example. Their holiday pack. You get 2 Sam Adams Boston Lagers. Well, I can get that anytime I want.
Right, that's not.
So I don't want those. I think one year it came with 2 winter lagers, which I can also get that anytime I want.
Right.
But then there's Old Fezziwig, Chocolate Bock, which is one of my favorite beers. Not the chocolate cherry. That was 10 kinds of terrible.
I like the Old Fezziwig.
I like Old Fezziwig, and they used to have a raspberry lambic back in the day, but it just kind of tastes like raspberry fizzy water.
Yeah.
So, but what it it's like, yeah, I get to try these beers, but I get 2.
Right.
And if I want more, I have to go
then you
buy
have to go get the whole thing,
another
right.
mix pack again. And what I would like is if you're gonna if the breweries have a mix pack, offer the 6 packs seasonally as well, or offer them as singles. I just picked up one from Victory the other day, and there wasn't a bad beer in there. I was quite pleased with it. So like I said, I'm a big fan of mix packs.
Cool. It looks like we've had a couple of people join us. If you have any questions or if you want to pipe in, just let us know by hitting the join button or by typing into the Q&A bar a question or a comment. If you're having trouble getting on or you're not comfortable being on camera or whatever, just click on it and ask a question online, and we will read it and answer it if you're interested. And we would love to hear you pipe in on the mixed bags. And I want to tell you this story. I don't think I got to tell it last week either. I was in Philadelphia, and I had one of the worst beers I've ever had, especially because it was by accident.
Was it a pumpkin spice latte beer?
No, it was it was from the 21st Amendment Brewery, I think, and it was called High Watermelon.
Oh, Heller High Watermelon.
Heller High Watermelon. And now, there's no world where I would intentionally get a watermelon beer. However, the tap was turned, and all I saw was Heller High Water. So not only didn't I know it was a watermelon beer, I didn't know it was a watermelon beer until it was in my mouth, and I'm like, holy Christ, what's the matter? My first thought was I'd been poisoned. I'm like, oh, because this is a little dive bar, and I'm like, maybe they haven't cleaned their taps since the 1860s. I don't know why this beer tastes like this. I'm sure, people like it. I don't like watermelon beer a lot. I would drink 4 pumpkin beers to every sip of watermelon beer I had.
I have not had Heller High Watermelon in probably 5, 6 years, and not quite the same instance, but got a mix pack.
Yeah, that's what made me think of it.
Made my own mix pack, and I was like, watermelon and wheat.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, why not? Popped it open, poured it in the glass. Was like, smells like watermelons. And took a sip. Was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, I'm gonna choke this one down, and
then never choke it down again.
Nope. So, but it's been around, and I think it's available all year long.
And people who must like it. And 21st Amendment Brewery, they do a good job. I like their beers.
Bitter American is just on point. I like most all of their beers.
Well, that's why
I
didn't even look to see what kind of beer it was. I saw 21st Amendment. I'll be like, that's fine. But watermelon is not my thing.
Yeah, I can tell you another one to avoid if you can. Is Samuel Adams Triple Bock. Oh, yeah.
Same thing.
Oh my God, it was. I think the bottle I got was 7 years old, and
was it alcoholic or was it too sweet or?
It tasted like you took chocolate syrup and soy sauce, and it wasn't carbonated, and it was room temperature, and I have the bottle to this day, and I thought the bottle was black. I poured it, took a sip, gagged, and just could not get the taste in my mouth. Dumped it. I wanted to rinse the bottle off because the bottle looked cool, so I shook it up, poured it out, and the skin came out with it, and it was a really beautiful blue bottle. This is, I think, okay, so I opened that bottle probably every bit of 8 years ago.
Right.
To this day, the cork still reeks of chocolate soy sauce. So yeah, avoid that one like the plague. Unless you guys really like that kind of flavor, then good luck finding one.
We're going to skip ahead a little bit because we're going to start to run out of time soon, and we don't want to take up your time anymore than we have to. You were talking about you guys have started on ciders for the year here at Xtreme Brewing.
Yeah, we just got a new line of ready-to-go or easy-to-make ciders. They're by Brewer's Best, I'm pretty sure. We had a line called Mangrove Jack, and they did really well.
Mm-hmm.
Brewer's Best has those exact same flavors and more. I think the current lineup of ciders right now is apple, pear, strawberry pear, mixed berry apple, spiced apple, blackberry, cherry, and raspberry lime. There might be one more, but I think that's it. and they're really, really, really good.
Raspberry lime cider doesn't sound like. Is that?
See, I'm addicted to lime.
Oh, all right.
To me, I would drink that if I could. But I like how they've really expanded on them, and what's really great about them is they're cheap.
Mm-hmm.
For 6 gallons, I mean they're the cheapest of the wines that we have.
Right.
And you can carbonate them. They can be bottle conditioned. I think the last time I made one, it literally took me 15 minutes getting everything out, making it and cleaning everything up and letting it ferment. And they're done in 8 days.
Wow.
So now if you want it carbonated, you got to add another week or 2 on that. But overall, they're fast, they're good, and bring you into the follow along with the pumpkins.
It's very cidery. Well, cider was one of the reasons that beer took so long to catch on the Eastern Shore. In colonial times, cider was easier, it was cheaper, it was faster.
Right. Yeah.
And this is a good segue because maybe we'll talk about this again more next week. And also it was very hard to find people who knew how to malt. Malting is an art.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys got a new kind of a malt? Or?
Yes, actually, we have a floor malted Maris Otter imported by Crisp, and just tasting a couple grains out of the bag, it tastes amazing, and it's the same price as the Crisp one. So hopefully, I'll get some good feedback on it real soon. I'm looking forward to it. I like the traditional styles.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I
love. So
earlier that to get the English ales, maybe we'll make the comeback, and that would be cool.
I hope so. If not, I'll just have to keep drinking Eds.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I mentioned last week that I'll mention again was I interviewed Alan Pugsley for my book.
Oh, very cool.
And he was talking about how they were in Aruba to start this brewery, Wild Goose Brewery. And if you want to check out, it's a great story, but I'm not going to tell it twice. So you can check out last week to hear it. But another great story that he told was about just flying around the world with Peter Austin, just opening breweries, just brewery after brewery after brewery, and eventually they
suck.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And eventually they had to split up, and this was in the early days of fax machines. They were able to communicate. You'd be able to do 2 breweries at a time via fax machine.
That's crazy.
Sending one another drawings and stuff like that. This is what it looks like. Okay, good, go, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, breweries that have opened up here, it takes a year plus to get them going.
He opened, I believe it was 19 breweries in the first 6 years he was here.
Oh my!
On this continent.
Wow.
That was Alan Pugsley. Six breweries between 1988 and 1994 or something. Sort of like that. He was just a machine, just going from place to place to place. But one of the things we hit on, and maybe we'll also save this for next week. We will think about this for next week because I think it would be fun to talk about anyway. Is I think what the craft beer revolution in the 90s was missing was the internet.
Absolutely.
I think that with an internet, there may be less of a bubble because bad beer wouldn't maybe have gotten as far out of control, and good beer would have gotten talked up more.
Yeah. I mean, I love the internet. I think it's a phenomenal source, but the sad part about the internet is it's full of opinions.
Yeah, any moron could put a television show on.
Absolutely. Not us though. Yeah. But I mean, I look at beer reviews, and I mean, a good friend of mine will tell you that one of the beer reviews, it was the hops were persnickety.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a hop being persnickety. Call me crazy, but I mean, I think a lot of the bad beer is hype.
Right.
And I mean, anybody can go on and trash a brewery. I mean, because I've had some bad beer
that was pretty good. Yeah,
good.
I like to think I like to taste for myself, and if someone doesn't like something that I like, then that's perfectly acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone said, I would never tell anyone not to bother going. Right. I would say, you know what? I wasn't thrilled, but you should totally go and give it a shot.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I've had really, really awful beer from breweries, and I've had beer that was, I mean, in my opinion, second to none at little teeny pubs.
Right.
And I've also had beer that has been so hyped up by the time I got it, it was kind of like, that tasted like beer.
Yeah, it's beer flavored beer.
There was no unicorns or rainbows shot of it, but
that's the thing with Smith Island Cake. I had lived here for Smith Island Cake's a local delicacy, and I had lived here for maybe 15, maybe 20 years before I tried Smith Island Cake for the first time, and that's exactly my experience.
Did you have it from Smith Island?
I don't know where I had it from.
Okay, if you.
The point for me was, I'm not saying that it wasn't excellent.
No.
I'm saying that I expected my head to come clean up because I'd heard so much. Yeah, that's like it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you, and it probably would have been if I had had it in the first 3 years. But after 20 years of hearing,
then you finally taste it. You know, you expect.
Like, oh, that's pretty good cake.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like really good cake. Nothing more. Now I can tell you, on Smith Island Cakes, I've had. Smith Island cakes,
right?
And then I've had cake from Smith Island.
Yeah, and
it's like comparing chocolate and poop.
Yeah,
I mean, it's that much better, but in the same time, it still tastes like cake.
It tastes like.
And it took me a long time to get my head around that with beers. These beers, and I'm like, oh my god, it's finally here. I get a chance to try it. It tastes like beer,
right?
And no matter what beer it is, it's gonna taste.
Like beer.
Tastes like beer. I hope. And so once you kind of get that. You know, get your head around that. It doesn't make it, you know, you don't get super, super excited about a certain beer.
Right.
So, but.
Awesome. Well, we're going to call this Time at the Bar because it's been about a half an hour, and we try to keep it to that because I would talk all night. Gentle reminder, in case you joined late, you can sign up on the State of the Beer podcast where you're listening now, State of the Beer Google page where you're listening now, and be invited to participate in the show each week. Each week it will be on at about 5 o'clock. I had a little difficulty today, a little technical difficulty. We didn't start till about 5:15, but it'll start in that range, and you will get to know. Feel free to comment on the bottom. I know that's a YouTube thing to say. I'm still new to this, but feel free to comment on the bottom or to reach out to us any places we are. If you are local or if you are planning a trip to the Eastern Shore, you may want to contact our friends here at Xtreme Brewing. They will hold a course for 4 or more people, and they are currently taking sign-ups for a course to be held hopefully in late summer, early fall.
Right. We will be scheduling classes again in the fall, but for now, if you have interest in class before that, if you can get 4 people together, we'll do it. And this is for beer basics or wine basics. If not, put your name down on the sheet. Once I get 4+ people, I'll shoot an email out and see if we can work something in to get you guys there. So the more people with brewing, the happier I am.
Excellent. And that'll be it for this week. We will see you next week, 5 o'clock Thursday-ish. No, 5 o'clock-ish Thursday for sure.
All right.
Bye.